Welcome to Not a Roofers podcast, where we discuss roofing
without all the jargon. I'm Breianna.
And I'm Charity.
And this is today's episode.
Welcome back to our mini-series, currently talking about the different roofing types. Today, we're talking about EPDM.
Kind of reminds me of EDM. You know, do you get that?
I mean, kind of, but not really.
Oh, okay, well, then it's just me. Anyway, so EPDM, what is it? What is it?
Well, it is a durable synthetic rubber roofing membrane.
See, I broke it down and I looked at what it stands for, which maybe comes from the fact that I'm married to someone who's in the chemistry field.
100%.
Yeah. So EPDM, I might butcher these names. We'll see. Probably. Well, maybe. So EPDM, it stands for ethylene propylene diene monomer. Blah, blah. So we'll do that again. Ethylene propylene diene monomer. So literally it gets its name from all of the molecules that it's made up of, which is interesting.
And I have that it's just made from oil and natural gas.
Oh, no. It is made up. Well, I mean, everything's made up of molecules, so.
Definitely your chemistry major husband over there.
Yep, no kidding. Anyway, so EPDM is ethylene propylene diene monomer. So I went further. I went further than just that. Of course I did.
Overachiever.
So ethylene, I broke it down into like each word. What does each word mean? That is not the like chemistry side. That is actually my English brain working. But so ethylene is a hydrocarbon, which means that it's a compound of hydrogen and carbon, and it's what is it? It's what's the chemistry word for how it's written? Do you know?
No.
Oh, bummer. Anyway, its chemistry way of being written is C2H4, and then propylene is a specific class of hydrocarbons, and then diene is a hydrocarbon chain with double bonds, and then monomer just means that the ethylene, propylene, and diene molecules can be bonded with identical molecules, which is how the like rubber is made up. So that is what EPDM means.
Well, that's good to know.
Do I know what any of that means in the grand scheme of things? No, I do not.
Well, it means that it's a durable synthetic rubber roofing membrane.
True. So I wrote down, or I have some pros and cons listed, because pros and cons are good. So I'm going to make you guess. What do you think some of the pros are?
Well, I do know that it is one of the least expensive to install and also repair, which is good for companies trying to save a couple of bucks.
See, that's interesting, because on my cons list, one of the cons is that it's actually expensive to install.
Yeah, I was not finding that. I was finding that it was cheaper to install.
No, so it's cheaper, it's affordable, like the membrane itself is affordable, but the installation process is apparently more expensive than some of the others because of how it has to be fastened onto the building. And granted, there are of course cheap ways to fasten it onto the building, but if you're wanting it to like actually be nice, because one of the other cons is that it's within its lifetime it'll shrink based on weather and just like wear and tear, of course. And so to combat that, you're going to want to fasten it on with like metal fasteners and whatever, which is where it's expensive.
That is interesting, because I do have on my side at least circled 3 times that it is the least expensive out of the options.
So
but it's not a do-it-yourself project.
Yeah, so this is where, I mean, maybe we're same thing, just different ways of putting it, but like I have nothing on here of like it being more expensive than others. I have actually that it is an affordable option, but it's specifically that the cost of putting it on a building is expensive. most of the things needed. So I think it's the same thing. It's just different ways of talking about it.
I wonder if maybe not many companies put EPDM on their building. Like, sorry, no. I wonder if not many companies work with EPDM. And so, since it's more rare in that way, that they charge more to install it.
I mean, maybe, but as I was looking into it, it all had like the affordability of it, and where it gets maybe less affordable is specifically with how it has to be put on the roof.
That's interesting because I have that it is applied with liquid adhesives or a specialty
Oh,
tape.
so that's the difference. That's the difference. Wherever you were looking up information, it was specifically talking about the easiest way to apply it, but I was looking into like overall, if you're wanting it to do like really well, it has to be adhered with like metal fasteners and things like that to really hold it, because it does stretch within its life, or it shrinks, I mean, in its lifetime. And so you want to have something that'll keep it stretched out to cover your entire roof. I don't know, just different ways of looking at it. Anyway, so getting into some pros and cons, what would you say is a pro of EPDM?
That it has a long lifetime.
Yeah, how long did you find that it lasts?
It overall it lasts as 50, for 50 years. I'm not saying it's not going to need repairs during that time, but as like a whole system, it will last for about 50 years.
So yeah, EPDM is one of the long lasting. What I found interesting, and this is comparable to what I found about metal, EPDM is 100% recyclable.
That is a plus.
That is very much a plus. Also, beyond it being, it's considered a like eco-friendly roofing type, and that comes from the fact that it's 100% recyclable. It reflects UV rays, particularly. EPDM can come in black and white, but if you use white, it reflects UV rays, which helps with energy costs. That just like helps, of course, with heating and cooling buildings. Another fun pro that I found, I don't know if you saw this, Charity, but EPDM is fire resistant.
A con that I found though is that it does puncture pretty easily.
Yeah, I'd found that too. But at least what I found is it's fragile, and you have the option of reinforced and non-reinforced. And so if you get a reinforced one, of course it's not as easy to puncture, but the non-reinforced is easy. Another con I found was that it's not pretty. Like we had talked about how asphalt, you can get multiple different colors and shapes. Like I'm sure you've been out, you've gone out, you can see that like houses. I think about houses. Like they can have different roof colors and shapes, and like it's so pretty. But yeah, EPDM not pretty.
Except then we also have to remember that EPDM is applied onto flat roofs, so you're not generally going to see it.
Yeah, but it's still a con. Like, I don't know, if you're worried about the fact that people are flying in airplanes and looking down at your roof and they're like, "Oh, that's an ugly roof." Uh,
I could actually see myself doing that.
we all do it. Actually, when I'm in a plane and I'm flying, I don't actually pay attention to the buildings. I pay attention to the cars and the trees, and
And how teeny tiny they get.
they get little, but I always think of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and like, you know what I'm talking about when they like transition into the little puppet world,
From the
and there's like,
trolley.
yeah, and there's just like all the little houses and whatnot. That's what I think of when I'm flying in an airplane. Yep. Anyway, anything else that we need to talk about with EPDM?
Mm, not that I can think of.
Yeah, pretty much. EPDM is a very big long word that's made up, ultimately is just made up of hydrogen and carbon, if you're going to get
Oil and natural gas.
chemically inclined to talking about it. And it's durable to a point. I'm
It
kidding, it's
lasts a
not
long
durable.
time.
It lasts a long time with maintenance. We should maybe put this
Yes.
in there. Like,
Maintenance is important on any roof. It doesn't
Any
matter
roof.
what type of roofing you have. You should be doing yearly maintenance on it. It's going to be cheaper in the long run.
If we were to come up with our own definition to explain EPDM in a super easy way, what would it be?
That it is an eco-friendly, affordable, long-lasting roofing option.
That is made up of hydrogen and carbon.
Oil and natural gas.
That's 100% recyclable.
It's also good in hot and cold temperatures. Like, it doesn't matter where you live, like your roof, like it has an operating temperature range of negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know anyone who lives in temperatures greater or less than that.
Okay, so it's a eco-friendly
Affordable, long-lasting roofing option.
roofing membrane made up of hydrogen and carbons.
Oil and natural gas.
Okay. Well, I think that is just about that on EPDM roofs. That brings us to the end of today's episode. If you've been loving what you're hearing, make sure to press the subscribe button so you get notified anytime we post a new episode. Episodes come out on Monday and Fridays. Please feel free to share this podcast with a friend. We'd love everybody to be able to join us and learn more about the roofing industry as we go along on this journey. If you don't already, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. I will put all of our information down in the show notes below. Feel free to contact us with any questions or any roofing ideas that you would love for us to talk about. I hope you have a great day, and we will see you next time.